Hello, my name is Don Dickerman. Appreciate you tuning into our channel. And for those of you that don't know me, let me tell you that I've been preaching in prisons all around the world for, since 1974, over 850 prisons, and attended 3 executions. I'll be talking about that from time to time. But I want to tell you about something that happened on the way to something else happening. You know, that's important in life to understand that a lot of things happen when you're just going through life. From one stop to another, a lot of things happen. And I want to tell you about a trip I made to Corpus Christi. I was going to be in 5 different prisons in that area, and Corpus Christi was the best place to stay, to go from one prison to the other. So I'm at Corpus Christi preparing or going down there with the intentions of being at a prison for a service that night. And I was thinking before going, I like to fish. I guess you can tell from my hat. Or I like to play golf until I had knee surgery that stopped that. Ping doesn't mean golf now. It means you're getting a message. At any rate, I'm in Corpus Christi thinking about going to this prison. And I get a phone call from the chaplain. And he apologized for calling me so late. And he said, we had a riot in the prison today, and the warden has canceled the services tonight. Well, I always take my rod and reel with me when I go to Corpus. There's places you can fish almost right off the street on Ocean Drive. Well, I was staying on one side of, if you're familiar with Corpus, the big bridge. And my fishing place was on the opposite end of Ocean Drive. So the morning came, and I got my rod and reel and little tackle box and went to this place to buy some shrimp. There's a place where the shrimp boats dock, and they sell the shrimp right off their boats. So I drove there, got the bait, and was going maybe the place I used to fish or like to fish. They have rock jetties, a lot of places you can walk out. But I like to fish right off of the edge of the bay. But on my way, driving to my favorite spot, I drove right past it. And I know you've done stuff like that before, just absent-mindedly. You realize you missed your spot. So instead of turning around, I could see in the distance another pier. And I'd never been there, so I thought, well, I'll just try that little pier. Actually, not that little, but it was in a place called Cove Park. I went there. There's a parking lot. There's also like a park area besides the fishing pier. And so I got my fishing equipment. It was a bright sunshine day. It was perfect. And I began to walk out on the pier. And at the end of the pier, it's like a box-shaped pier, square. I went to the right side of that pier to do my fishing. And what I found out in life is that a lot of things happen when you're just sitting around, when you're just doing nothing, when you have nothing planned. A lot of stuff is going on that we're not aware of. And I realized at a point that this was one of those times. So I'm on the pier, I'm fishing, I'm catching a few little fish, and I look at the parking lot, and there's a lady walking out toward the pier. Well, I thought that was strange. She didn't have any fishing equipment, but she finally made her way out there, and she went to the left side of the pier, the opposite side. But as I was fishing, I noticed she kept getting closer, working her way around the pier, and pretty soon she's standing right beside me. And she asked me, I see you're catching some fish, and I didn't say this, but I was thinking it. If you'd leave me alone, I might catch some more. But she was nice, talked a minute, and I said, what are you doing out on this pier with no fishing equipment? And she said, well, the water's deep, and I can't swim, and I'm very depressed. Well, I realized why I missed the favorite place to fish. I realized why the service was canceled. I realized that God was giving me an opportunity to minister in a very special way. And so I began to put my fishing equipment up, and I said, ma'am, I don't want you to misunderstand this, but would you walk back to my car with me and just let me pray for you? She said, oh, I know I need prayer. Of course I will. So we're walking back on the pier, back toward the parking lot. And I asked her if she was a Christian. She said, oh, yes. I was saved when I was a little girl, or something to that effect. And I said, do you believe in angels? She said, yes, I do. I said, do you believe in demons? And she kind of hesitated. She said, well, yes, I do. And I said, well, when we get to the car, I'm going to cast out demons. I think that's what you're dealing with your depression and suicidal thoughts. So we got back to the car, and she's sitting on the passenger side, bright sunshine. And so I talked to her a minute, explained deliverance, and asked her if she had any unforgiveness in her life. And she said, yes, I think I do, maybe toward my mother. And I said, well, can you forgive her? Will you forgive her? And she said, yes, I will. So she did forgive her mom, and then I led her in a what I call a permission-breaking prayer. If demons are in someone's life, it's because they have permission. Something happened, they believed a lie, they have ancestral curse, some reason. So we did a permission-breaking prayer, canceling oaths and vows and pledges, and basically denouncing some things. So after the prayer, I began to cast out demons, and she did I guess what I would call a deep sigh, releasing the demons. And when she opened her eyes, she said, oh, the fog is gone. Well, it wasn't foggy. It was bright sunshine. But God delivered her out of her fog. Well, I gave her several tracts I had with me to take to the prison. And on those tracts, I wrote my phone number. So before I got back home, she called that number. She actually talked to my wife. And she said, I want to thank you for what your husband did for me while he was in Corpus. And my wife said, well, what did he do for you? And she said, well, he cast demons out of me. And I'm so happy. Well, I had not told my wife about it. And she was, of course, happy. I go back to Corpus Christi maybe 2 years later. I never knew the lady's name. But I did remember her telling me her husband had a title, an official title for the city of Corpus Christi. You could call the city of Corpus and ask for that office, and you would get him. So I decided I would call and see how she was doing. I called the number, and he answered the phone. And I said, I don't know if you know me or not. I told him my name, and he said, oh, I know you. You gave me a new wife. And a lot of things can happen between being one spot and another spot, and we just need to be prepared, because God might give you an appointed, anointed time. It's important to recognize it and to be ready to minister, even to casting demons out on the parking lot of a fishing pier.